Hi, this is Android 17. I was just interviewed by Keith Andrew. He's powerful.
So I'm going to start off with everyone's favorite thing about me. What is the Keith Andrew Network about? The whole point of my talk show is to show people that even with having a learning disability, I can still amount to something. And at the same time, I'm able to turn myself into an example for people out there dealing with any types of learning disabilities and disabilities that never give up and prove people wrong. Prove to them that labels do not dictate who you are and who you're going to be. So prove to them you can still amount to something. So hashtag break the labels. That being said, 26 minutes of your time, half hour maximum. You can say anything you want, freedom of speech, self-expression. And for me, I'm like a big fanboy because I love Dragon Ball. Everything is about me. As I try to mirror myself as Vegeta, kind of cocky and arrogant, but I have the heart as Goku, I'm stupid and naive, and I'm always optimistic. But Dragon Ball is the one thing that will never get old and go away. So the first question I want to ask you is, who inspired you to become a voiceover actor, and how many years have you been acting?
I was not inspired to be a voice actor. I was from the youngest time I can remember, I wanted to be an actor. My brother and I used to do puppet shows with these elves that we had that would go on the Christmas trees. So we would play with them every year at Christmas time. And they all had different voices that they would do. And we watched Monty Python growing up. And so we'd try to do all the Monty Python voices. And when the phone would ring, because back in my day, there was only one phone. And it was usually in the kitchen on like 100-foot cord. And the challenge was who got first and who could do the funniest voice when answering it. So you'd pick up the phone and be like, "Oh yes, hello, we have lots of fish." And, and then everyone would laugh, and then we'd be like, "No, sorry," and then pass it off to whoever the phone call was for. So I've been voice acting for as long as I can remember, but I never thought about it as a career. I went to school at DePaul University in Chicago and was acting in theater in Chicago and movies and TV. And then I moved to the Dallas Fort Worth area it was about 1997 when I moved to DFW. Shortly after that, I started a theater company. And then after about a year of being into the theater company, so probably around 98, 99, my buddy Brad Jackson came into rehearsals. I remember we were rehearsing for this improv show called Fuzzy Logic. And Brad came in and I was stretching on the stage. I was stretching out. Actors get warmed up because acting is a physical activity. And I was sitting there and he was like, "Oh, hey man, you should audition for this Dragon Balls thing." And I was like, "Dragon Balls? Sounds like porn." And he was like, no, it's Japanese anime. And I'm like, "Oh, so it's definitely porn." And he was like, no, it's super cool. Go, and so I was kind of teasing him about it. And he was like, "No, it's really a lot of fun. You should go do it." And so he kind of had to convince me to take this dude's number, this dude named Chris Sabat. And I was like, "Oh, okay. I'll call this dude Chris Sabat and see what happens." And I called him and he was like, "Hey, yeah, come on in, do an audition." And I was like, "Okay, I'll do an audition." And so I wasn't inspired. Nobody inspired me to be, I guess Brad Jackson maybe inspired me because he told me about it, but I wasn't inspired. I got to the audition, and back in the day, Funimation was, stacks of boxes, a table with a blanket over it, for sound attenuation. They had a good whisper room and a good mic and pretty good equipment, not quite state of the art. They had these old 1/4-inch tapes and, or 3/4-inch tape. I can't remember. But every time you did a take, you'd have to ready, so that the tape had to reset every time. And so it was a long process. You couldn't do take after take after take like we do nowadays. So I wasn't inspired to do it, but once I started doing it, I loved it because, and the first one I did was Garlic Jr. I'm gonna push you into the dead zone. And how can you resist that as an actor, getting to be all these sort of it? In a way, I used what I had done doing sort of children's theater to do some, because we do character voices in children's theater all the time. We don't necessarily do, I'm not going to get cast in a film as Emperor Pilaf, that's never going to play on screen. But when it's animated, I can totally do it. And so as I did it more and more, I became more inspired by it. And then when I really became inspired was when I met all the fans, because I didn't know that we were popular. I didn't know how popular we were until Funimation was like, hey, we should bring you to a convention. And I was like, sure. And I thought they meant bring me to a convention like because I'd done work at conventions before as an actor, because the company will hire you to sit at their table at a convention and pass out literature and speak intelligently about gas pipe fitting or whatever. And they give you a script. And so I thought that's what I was going to do. And I got there and I was like, well, what's up? And they were like, okay, well, you have a autograph signing from 2 to 6. And I was like, 2 to 6 autographs? And I was like, well, you mean like I'm going to pretend that I can like sign autographs or something? And they were like, no, you're going to sign autographs for all the fans. And I was like, what do you mean? What do you mean? That's weird. I'm like, you don't understand. And they were like, just show up at 2. And so I didn't think they understood. I thought they were confused. I didn't know what they were doing. And then I got to the autograph thing and I had a line that went wrapped all the way around the room and people were super excited to meet me. And one girl started crying and then I was really inspired meeting all the fans. So I guess that is about 20 years and the fans, you guys inspired me.
No, absolutely. And once the shit stops, and like I said, it's uncensored. Once the shit stops hitting the fan, I would love to buy you lunch if you're ever in the New York area.
Oh, I try to get to New York once a year. I mean, I used to. Now nobody's nobody's going anywhere.
I hear you. I didn't mean to impose on you.
No, not at all. I'd love to hook up and grab a coffee or whatever.
No, absolutely. And that's funny enough. I actually got the chance to meet Sean Kimmel. Sorry, I had Kimmel on my mind.
Jimmy Kimmel, Sean Kimmel, Jimmy Schimmel.
Kind of similar.
That's right.
And I got to meet Chris Sabbath. And it's a funny picture. It's going to be in the video. And I got my belt, and Sean's like, I'm the world champion, because I have a belt from my talk show. I definitely show you out there. And it's just really funny. And he asked, what was it about? I said, it's about disabilities. Of course, I wanted to say, I would love to have you on the show. And of course I do. But there was like a long line. And I'm like, hey, all right, kid, you got your 2 minutes, moving along. But hey, if you can put a good word in for me, I would appreciate that. But you don't have to. But for me, I'm going to change up the format. You can ask me anything you want. I have no cards up my sleeves. But when you did the when you did the peel off, what do you think of that teacher lady? I thought that was really funny. I couldn't stop laughing when I heard that.
What do you think of that, teacher lady? He's so fun because of all his reactions. You know what I mean? He gets, it's just, I get to be random. I randomize my face and it randomizes all the sounds. And I just get to see how many different ones I can make. You just kind of like squeeze and make noises. It's that's all we are as actors is we're like little toys with a string in the back where you pull the string or you shake them and they make noise. That's all we are.
So how do you feel about supposedly Netflix is making a Dragon Ball movie, but you talk about, the 2008, that movie was horrible. It was like Power Rangers meets Karate Kid if they had a baby, but look at it like this. Marvel can do Thor, they can do Avengers, and DC, for that matter, they redid Justice League. It's actually okay. I was disappointed because I was hoping Darkseid would have a longer part,
Right.
but if they can do stuff like that, especially Captain Marvel, like she powers up, she looks like a Super Saiyan. If they can do that, do you think they can actually make a perfect Dragon Ball movie?
I absolutely believe they can. I believe they can because I remember seeing not too long ago, although time gets weird, and it's been weird for like a year. But a while back, there was a fan-made Android 17 versus Piccolo. I think they did the live Android. I can't remember what it was, but it was so good, and it was fan-made, and it had, indie style special effects, and it was really good, and it made me think that they could really make an awesome movie. So, and of course the one in 2008 was not it's not worth mentioning. It's a bit like Voldemort. We don't say its name, but yeah, I think they could make a good one. I have to believe they can, although I know the sort of stance of the fandom is like, prove it to us.
That's true. For the actresses, as said, the expression, a dime a dozen, you will always have beautiful women. So casting, Chi-Chi and Bulma and Android 18, that's easy. And the fans are like, okay, that's the easy part. Now we go to the hard part. We need someone who looks like Goku. We need someone who looks like Vegeta. When, I don't know if you remember this, Hugh Jackman wasn't supposed to be Wolverine. It was supposed to be Russell Crowe. But Russell Crowe turned it down and says he will do a better job. And now Hugh Jackman is a household name.
Yeah.
So it depends on who you pick. You don't want to pick just a random person because you want this person to embody the character. You want them to involve in their own. You just don't want to say, hey, we need someone, just pick this guy off the street, and then realize we could have done it better.
Yeah, I think, I don't know, he's a little old, but like Cillian Murphy would be a great Android 17. And I say a little bit old. He's just slightly, I think Android 17 should be someone in their 20s. He just feels like he's in his early 20s, doesn't he? He feels like just kind of like a jerk. But like if Cillian Murphy was 20, 21, that he would be perfect as Android 17.
I didn't mean to interrupt. I apologize.
No, that was it.
But you mentioned 21. So how do you think and feel about the new concept? And they did leave it open in the video game where the 16 said Dr. Solo had these labs all over the world. So hint, hint, they could actually make a story about more androids. But how did you feel about being a part of the video game franchise?
Oh, we love the video game work. We love the video games. Although I must admit, I've only played the video games when I've been at conventions. I've never done them at home. But I am not particularly I've never really been a fighter video. I don't even Smash Bros very well. I do with my kids sometimes because they love it, but I'm not. It doesn't draw me in the way it draws the people who love those games in. But doing the video games was amazing. It's always fun to see which characters are going to come back. Kibito, Android 13, Garlic Jr. It's Android 17, of course, Emperor Pilaf. So you never know who's going to show up in the video game. So it's like a reunion when you get to, sort of dust off a character back to life.
I hear you. And what I really want is to focus more on the women in the show. Especially in the video games. You always have Android 18 and Videl, but why not make Chi-Chi a playable character? Why not make Bulma and Pan? And make them, WWE, they have their own story modes. Why not give them their own stories? That would be interesting.
Yeah, that is a little sort of holdover from the time when the original series was created where women don't fight. You know what I mean? The fighters were all, I mean, there were mostly dudes in video games. There was a there was a split that is now being rectified. But yeah, I think you're right. I think they should have their own storylines, and I think they should be playable characters for sure. Especially Chi-Chi, she would crush.
Oh, absolutely. Now, the next question I want to ask you is social media. Can social media make you or break you with everything that you accomplish in your career? Do you give thanks to Facebook, Twitter, Instagram? Have these platforms given you opportunities?
Absolutely. Everything, electricity is great. It gives us light and computers, but if you strip the wires back and touch them, you get electrocuted. And the same could be said for almost anything that humans make. Cars that take us places, but they can also smash through your living room window. So there's always good with the bad. So you have to take the risks with it. But absolutely, social media has been an amazing way to connect with all fans all over the world. I remember when social media kind of it came online, and it was especially Facebook. MySpace kind of did a little bit, but once Facebook took off, it was like a reunion, like a digital reunion online. Everybody you ever wanted to talk to again in your life, you could search for and send them a friend request, and they'd be like, "Oh, that's whoever from whenever." Small moments that were big in your heart. You could reach out to people and engage with them that way. Reconnect. I reconnected with a lot of old friends. So it definitely has its positives, and I would not be where I am without social media. Well, I could still be where I am. I just would have had to mail a lot of letters.
It's true.
Send a lot of emails, actually. So, everything used to be email marketing. And now you can, for the classes I teach online, you put a little ad online and it can go out to the whole world. And they have algorithms to try to make you buy advertising to promote things that they know are financial. But it still works really well. It works really well for connecting with people.
No, I agree. I wish I had a dollar for every time I said that. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And, we look back to the 2000s. I'm not really 100% sure when Zoom came out. I think Skype came out about 2007, 2008. But
right.
Say, for an example, if we wanted to do a show together, and actually that's a great idea, but if we wanted to do a show, you had to meet in person and videotape it and edit it. And there was no YouTube back then. And so it was harder. Now, all you have to do is pick up your phone, press a button, and there you go. You have so much at your fingertips compared to, I'm only 33. And, compared to the 90s, there was like AOL was big, but people are like, what the hell is the internet? But now it's so normal. And here's a funny story for you. My brother's friend actually walked around with a briefcase and a laptop, and people said, he's developed, what's the matter with that guy? He's so weird. Now they encourage you to get a laptop and a computer to take classes and take notes in person. So he was actually ahead of his time. And that's 20 years ago. So it's absolutely amazing how far that changed.
Yeah, with the technology has definitely changed everything about our world, and it is going to continue to do that. People don't realize we're right on the edge of the next version of the internet, and hopefully, fingers crossed, it will be a decentralized version of it where we are in control of our own data. We're in control of our own ability to communicate, that everybody has somewhat of an equal footing. The financial sector is going to be decentralized, hopefully, meaning maybe a little bit more equity when it comes to little bit more equality when it comes to the distribution, or the ability to produce is probably a better way to put it, because that it's redistributing wealth is not really helpful. Redistributing the ability to own your own means to produce, which is what YouTube and Uber and Airbnb and Favor and Fiverr, all of those things have taken these sort of centralized ideas and broken them all up and spread them all across the world. And the same thing is happening with data, money, networking, all those network servers in the giant football field size cooled rooms that Amazon has. All that processing power and all that storage capability is going to be split up across different blockchains and distributed to the whole world. And it's going to be hopefully not something people can turn on and off. It'll have a life of its own.
You know, it's kind of like what George Carlin used to say, God rest his soul. He said, American dream. Why do you call it American dream? Because you have to be asleep to believe. But it's true.
He's one of my favorites. I love him.
No, he's a household name. And
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you pass the show over to you for 1 second. But, you know, it's what he said when I was younger, and I didn't really understand. He said, it's a bitch, not a bitch. I do apologize. It's a big, rich country club, and you're not part of that club. You know, the banks, you know, the Trump and Bill Gates and all these rich people all together. It's a big, rich club. And you're not part of that club.
No, we're not. We're not. Sometimes people think I'm rich, and I have to admit, I am more financially secure now than I've ever been in my life. But I am because I drive a 2006 Honda Accord. I wear the same 3 pairs of pants, and when one wears out, I buy another. My wife shops at the thrift store. We grow our own food. We have our own chickens, you know, but we're still well off because I have my freedom. I have my free time. And that to me, being peaceful and happy and loving my home, even though it's, 2,200 square feet, it's not a mansion, but we do have a pool, which was super, super helpful in Texas in the summer to have a pool. So we're rich and we feel very, very wealthy, but we do so because we live beneath our means. So we're not trying to impress anybody. We think our lives demonstrate who we are pretty clearly. We don't have to let our material possessions demonstrate who we are.
No, you're absolutely right. The best way to stay rich is to shop poor. If you shop rich, and I got you an example. I want to become rich and famous, but I don't want to have 4 houses. I don't want to have 10 cars because one, I can't drive part of my disability. But why you want to have 10 cars? Why you want to? You want to have a summer house. When it snows, you want to escape. Okay, that's reasonable. But you don't want to piss your money away, because if you piss it away, you're going to be like, oh, where did it go? I don't know. I had all this money and now I'm broke. But the best way is to just have common sense. But I'm going to pass the show over to you as the last 2 minutes. But one thing I want to ask you that you mentioned, you teach classes, and about the show is about disabilities. Have you ever worked with people with disabilities besides me? And what would your secret to be for people with disabilities who want to follow in your footsteps?
Absolutely. There is no requirement that you are any certain level of actor to take my classes. My classes apply to, I've had students with neurodivergencies and disabilities and all sorts of different human beings with different brains. And I personally think it just makes our classes better. I think it just makes us stronger artists, stronger actors, when we don't narrow ourselves down to, it's like anything, the diversity of race is talked about a lot, and the diversity of sexual orientation is talked about a lot, and the diversity with disability or with neurodivergence doesn't get as much attention, but it's starting to get a little bit more attention, especially with people like you doing shows like this. That is a leadership role you're taking, and that's important. But yeah, in terms of my classes, they're open to anyone. Absolutely anyone can, because I think acting is good for every human being on earth, just like I think dancing and singing is good, and painting, art, dancing, singing, acting. It should be a portion of everybody's life. It makes you feel better. It makes you a stronger, more resilient person. And it makes you a better communicator, and it makes you understand yourself better. And I can't think of any other pursuit that completes all of those things as well as acting.
I agree. Now, wrapping up the show, do you have anything you want to promote? Anything you want to ask me? I have no cards on my sleeve. But there's a funny meme where it says everyone loves Apple, Apple this, Apple that, but who saved the universe? An Android. So suck on that, Apple.
It is true. It's true. I was very surprised when I saved the universe. I was very excited about it. Nothing really to promote. I mean, I do have another class starting up in June. And that's my master class. We teach dialects and acting technique and a lot of sort of mental technique to strengthen you for the journey. And we have a Shakespeare class. We have an improv class. We have a demo engineering class where you learn about writing, directing, and engineering. And at the end of the class, you walk out with a professionally mixed demo, commercial or character. And that's about it. That's about it. But I am taking May off because I'm turning 50 in May. So part of my treat was I get to have a little break. I get a little summer for myself. I didn't want to buy anything really for myself. I just wanted to be able to just put all the responsibilities aside for a minute and just sort of chill. That said, I'll probably be doing Now Voice This during May. So responsibilities have a way of finding me, it seems.
Well, if you're interested, on June 10th is my 8-year anniversary. I would love to have you a part of that.
Sure. What is it going to be? A party or
it's going to be
live stream?
Well, I don't really do anything live. It's going to be like this, and it's going to be a whole bunch of other people. It's going to be like just a real celebration. So it's going to be June 10th at 5 p.m. Eastern.
All right, hold on. I have to put on my old man glasses so I can see if I can. Let me check the date there, Sonny. Hold on. Stop yelling at me. I didn't. What? Sorry. Hold on. Let me see. June 10th. Beep-a-dee, June the 10th. Yeah. What time? 5:30?
Oh, 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock. So 4 p.m. Central.
Yes.
It is in the calendar.
No, absolutely. Now, wrapping up the show, was there anything you wanted to promote real fast? Anything you wanted to ask me?
What's your favorite type of ice cream?
I would say sorbet.
I like that. I like that answer a lot.
You know, it's funny. I always go into an ice cream store and like, do you have sorbet? Oh, strawberry. No, sorbet. What is that? The orange one. We sell ice cream. It is ice cream.
Yeah. The push-ups, you remember the push-ups? Those were in sherbet. That was sherbet too. Those were good.
But I do have a couple questions for you off the air. But for our fans out there, if you could do one in your normal voice in 17, I want you to be brutally honest. When I first approached you to be a guest on my talk show, what was your honest opinion? What made you say yes? And for all your fans and colleagues, should they be on the Keith Andrew Network?
As Android 17, I have to say, the Keith Andrew Network is amazing and you should be on it. If you aren't on it, I will hunt you down and kill you. And why did I want to? What did I think when you asked me to be on it? Well, first of all, we have my stepson is neurodivergent. I've worked in different fields with all sorts of neurodivergencies, and anytime anyone is stepping out trying to do something, I'm a big fan of it. So I'm a big fan of you, sir. That's what I am.
Well, I appreciate that. And I do have a couple questions for you off the air, but wrapping up our show, it was a real honor and privilege having you as a guest, and I'm looking forward to part 2 down the road.